I think that everybody in here agrees that you cannot just shoot people, even if you are, reasonably afraid. There were other options other than to shoot him dead. Um, but I saw a lot of the same questioning multiple times. So I kind of wanted to go over those types of things in regards to domestic violence. Uh, I think I told you all back during the Belief Neck case that it was a little bit triggering for me as I've been in a dangerous relationship in my 20s. But that is not what triggers me as much as that my friend from high school was murdered by her husband, who she was separating from. And she was an amazing person. She had a 2-year-old daughter, and she did everything right. She did everything that everyone's saying in the chat. She left. She got a restraining order. She filed for this and that. She tried and tried and tried. And it didn't matter because she was shot 3 times with a shotgun in her home. And all he cared about was that she didn't get to have his daughter. He didn't care that he was in jail for the rest of his life. He did not care. And so, a lot of times in these situations, we have a lot of judgment for the person who's left alive. And if the person who's left alive is the victim of the violence, it's natural for us to be, questioning their avenue of what they did. But there is not a reliable way in this country to get away from an abuser. There is no protection that the police can offer, that anyone can offer to a person who believes and then most times ends up dead. We have tons of documentation of this from, as far back as I can remember. There's, Nicole Brown Simpson wrote in a safe deposit box. She had pictures of herself being beaten. She had told her sisters. My friend Kelly had written on her restraining order, "He is going to kill me." He told me that he has dug a hole that is big enough to put me in. It is what Jay was talking about yesterday. When you're going through a divorce and it's a contentious divorce with children, you are in a pressure cooker of that's your whole world. And if you add domestic violence into that, it's not just a pressure cooker. It's always that there is no way for the steam to come out. There is no release because you are constantly afraid and paranoid. And so, yes, I see a lot of like, well, she had other avenues, and really they weren't living together. But there's so many things that are going on in the minds of the people that it's not necessarily we don't have the ability to put ourselves in their shoes. So of course, like if I was sitting here today and my friend was still alive and her husband was dead, I wouldn't be saying, "Oh, good, I'm glad that she shot him." No, but I could also, if I saw all these things, like in this case, if I saw that you shot a weapon in our home, um, or you punch walls, whether or not they are in by the side of my head or not, or if I'm pinned up against the wall or not, that's intimidation. That's threatening behavior. That is unacceptable, whether it comes from a woman or a man, but especially if it comes from a person who is much larger and much stronger in the relationship, has more of the power, has more of the control because of their size, because of fiduciary things. So
Yeah,
that's what.
I was going to say, and like you're saying, it's not always physical abuse.
Correct. So there was other abuse that was that is happening in abusive relationships. It is not just that they're always, pushing you, kicking you, whatever. It's also that they have you believing that you're worth nothing. No one cares about you. Um, you overreact about everything. It's it's just so hard to sit on the outside of these cases and really know what was going on inside. And a lot of times there is not evidence the way that we say there should be evidence of things, because it's not a fist fight between, two people at a bar. It's inside their home. It's intimate. You can't even reckon with all the history between the people. So, yes, just like Bob said yesterday, there are people who use these types of things to their advantage. There are people who say that, go to get the protective order right before, or say they're going to call the cops on someone because they're being violent. A lot of times, those shake out because, the cops get there and they assess the situation and they're like, I don't know, maybe she's drunk and he's, calm, and that doesn't seem to be what's going on. Or they drop the restraining order or don't give them a restraining order, etc. So I think those things shake out more often than not. I don't think that those things go to this type of resolution very often. Of course, there are other examples, but what I think about these types of trials, when you see a domestic violence case going forward, it's important to realize that some questions that we may have naturally, like why didn't she leave him? Of course, we have that question, but that question comes across as very victim blaming and very naive in the situation, because if you've never been in this type of situation, you really, a lot of times, like the defense attorney said, you either end up dead or you end up super lucky that you got out. Um,
Awesome job, babe.
oh, I was just also going to say again, with like she could have just shot him the one time and then maybe like called 911 and said like, he's in my home and I want him out. Typically in these types of situations, you are shooting and shooting because you are in a type of state mentally where you aren't, able to really control yourself or have that peace of mind. This was a dangerous time for her. She was deciding that she wasn't going to move in with him. They were about to face the judge. Of course, the judge was not favorable to her. That was also stressing her out. I'm not saying that this is a stand your ground case, but I am saying that he admits to discharging a weapon inside of her home. He admits via text message or deposition that he was tracking her and stalking her. He admits that he threw a loaded gun at her. And he admits that he did something to the dog. She says he punched the dog. The cousin says, like, no, he was just frustrated with the dog and he, was a little too rough with the dog. But he admits these things. He says in his statement, I'm not going to do these stupid things again. Well, those are all domestic violence things. Those cannot be ignored. If those things are happening within your relationship, please reach out because they are not okay. And we're here for you.
Great job, babe. As always, I just want to add to that. I mean, I really don't have to add anything because clearly that's Shannon nailed it on the head like she always does. I would just say I think what happens in the chat and what's can be troublesome is some people have this black and white view on things and will, I don't know if they're purposely, just you can't tell in chat and you can't tell in text sometimes. There's a lot of nuance there, and when we say certain things in there and kind of it appears completely discount someone else's experiences, or we're all coming from different places here. And as you can see, as Shannon was talking, a lot of people have had a lot of things happen in their lives, a lot of bad things, and we just ask for, as always, to have an open mind. Not everything is black and white. There are gray areas, to listen and to just not be so absolute in the chat, because it's really it's again um we just always ask you to be respectful to everyone else, to kind of listen to everyone else. When you're in there just saying, well, she should have left, this is dumb. Like when people, not I'm saying that anyone here, just in general, when you're saying this is dumb, why would you do that? Someone in here came and I blocked them. Said, "Oh, this is God's plan. First, get the fuck out of here with that shit." But just, try to keep an open mind. Try to realize there's other people out there who have different experiences, and that's all we ask for. And that's why I love this community, because in general we've been very good, I think. But like I said before, I've said this before when I first started tweeting, and it was easy for me to call Murda a dumb dopey bitch, and people were going to agree with me, generally because he was a dumb, dopey bitch murderer. But there are other things with nuance. There are things in this world that are just not black and white. And I knew when we did this channel that there were going to be things that come up that people are just not going to, there's nuance to stuff. So just try to keep an open mind, be respectful. And I think this channel will continue to be successful. And thank Larry that I have Shannon here to explain things in a way that makes much more sense than I can. So, but to I want to bring up
Do the
people at,
people know why you say thank Larry, the new people? Or why
oh,
we say it in our family?
well, me and Shannon. So, for the people that don't know, for the people new to the channel, I am an atheist. I do not believe in God. But so I don't say, I try, even though sometimes I say, thank God. We say thank Larry David, because Larry David is our hero. So we say thank Larry instead of thank God, despite, and that's why sometimes I'll say, oh my Lanta instead of oh my God. Although habit, I still say oh my God sometimes. But yeah, we say thank Larry David.